Hi everyone, let's have a look what happened today. We got the pump that I was expecting yesterday, so that is really great. And we know now on what fractal we are, so this is what we're expecting in the next few days, topping on the 17th of July. I already wrote the date here, so that is according to the fractal, but we need to confluence that with the daily time frames. So the Ethereum daily time frames is saying that after the 14th of July pump, look at it, it was highlighted in advance. And my question to you is everybody who owns the Ethereum package is using your daily time frames? Because this is the biggest edge of the Ethereum package right now. Look at that, a big pump is highlighted for the 14th of July. Pretty good, huh? I learned my lesson last time. I didn't report the Bitcoin pump the other day, and it was right there in the notes. So this time I thought I will report it, and then you always run the risk that it doesn't happen. These cycles don't happen every single time. You can see the previous two dates on the wood monkey. Ethereum didn't pump, so it was a risky forecast that I made yesterday, but it paid off. And it paid off because it was confluenced with the fractal. The fractal is different than those daily time frames. So it was confluenced with the fractal that it was going to be higher. And then at the same time, it had a high percentage probability that it will pump. It was 58% closing on green. This is not high, by the way, because in 2025 it got reduced. But if you go to previous years, this is the summary of the previous 5 years. The wood monkey in the previous 5 years, right, is in this section here. That was 61%. It reduced because in 2025 those dates didn't pump. But still the history is there. And the most important is the season. You're looking at the same season. So great, that was a very good analysis, and I hope all of you are using your Ethereum daily time frames the way they're supposed to be used. I've put in a lot of hard work here, so it's for you to be using it. Okay, and now let's move to Bitcoin to see what is happening with Bitcoin. So first of all, I need to explain why I didn't put a forecast for Bitcoin yesterday. A, because the pump is not the top, and B, because Bitcoin is the leader. I know I have seen charts on X about Bitcoin dominance, that it has reached the top and it's heading down, and I appreciate those charts. I keep them in my mind, but for this moment in time, Bitcoin is the leader. We saw that Bitcoin is the Bitcoin is pumping today, and then Ethereum follows Bitcoin and pumps today. Mind you, this was an Ethereum cycle. That's why I was concerned yesterday that it may not happen for Bitcoin. Today is an Ethereum cycle, so it is a coincidence that Bitcoin is pumping as well. But on previous occasions it hasn't been. On previous occasions Bitcoin is always the leader. And the reason for this is because Bitcoin is the oldest. I mean, that is a normal rule, that the oldest will be the leader, the oldest in the family. And also the Bitcoin structure, which is the numerology, is number 6, and 6 is always the parent. Number 6 is the number of the parent. So Bitcoin is destined to be a leader. It will be very difficult to change the dominance of Bitcoin, and maybe we'll have to wait for that in another year, going by esoteric reasons, right? I'm not disputing that Bitcoin dominance chart that is going around. Several people are posting it on X. Bitcoin dominance is here to stay for this year, because this year Bitcoin is 16 years old, which is an exceptionally bullish anniversary. That is 12 Jupiter plus 4. 4 is very bullish, is very stable. 4 is a great number in the West. I know in the East people hate it because 4 means death. The word 4 in translated in Chinese, it actually means death at the same time, and that's why in Chinese numerology they hate the 4. But in the West, the 4 works as a foundation number. It is a foundation. Every house is built on 4 corners, most houses anyway, and it represents foundation and stability. And then the 12 is Jupiter, so 16 is a fantastic number. And also 2 by 8 as well. There is another Jupiter cycle which is 8, and that is in cartology. And again, 2 Jupiter cycles together. So although 16 looks 1 plus 6 is 7, bearish, that is another calculation as well. We have 2 bullish calculations within the 16 number, and then that bearish calculation for the 1 plus 6 equals 7, that will manifest as well. It already manifested in February and March, which was quite unusual. That comes from that 1 plus 6 equals 7, and it will manifest later on in the year, and I will report that. I have already reported it to people who have the monthly time frames forecast. It's in the text of the email, so you know when I expect Bitcoin to dump hard, and that's it. If we don't sell by then, we're gonna get trapped for another few years. Okay, so that was a quick introduction about Bitcoin and the meaning of Bitcoin in 2025, that the dominance, in my opinion, is here to stay regardless of what the charts are saying. And I don't know why people always say that you need Bitcoin to slow down to get the old season. Well, last year everything pumped together when Bitcoin started topping. The rest of the currencies were topping as well. So I really don't agree with that model that Bitcoin needs to slow down for the olds to be given a chance. I don't expect it this year either. I expect that they will be following Bitcoin. It's frustrating because we're putting efforts in studying the old charts and their own cycles, and then everything gets disregarded by Bitcoin's moves. But on the other hand, it's actually easier to calculate their moves. Just calculate Bitcoin's moves and you'll know what to expect from the olds as well. Okay, so what happened yesterday? The top fractal got, I've already moved it, sorry, I have to keep bringing it back up so for you to see. This fractal got invalidated a couple of days ago. I hope, don't wait for me to spoon feed you. All of your subscribers, you have this fractal, and you saw that it got invalidated, right? It got invalidated on the 11th of July. 11th of July was supposed to be already turning a corner. Oh, sorry, no, sorry, I've moved this fractal a little bit. Yeah. Yes, correct. It got this fractal that was our main reference, the eclipse cycle number 1 fractal. It got invalidated on the 11th of July. Bitcoin was supposed to be going down according to that fractal, and Bitcoin continued up. So immediately, to me, that meant that the fractal got invalidated, and the reason for this is because I already had 2 fractals waiting down in the shadows. I had 2 fractals waiting where Bitcoin was continuing up a little bit later. So that's why I didn't waste any time with that fractal. I immediately removed it. There is no need to use it now. And now we are following these 2 fractals here. The ones that are showing 11th of July going higher. These dates are so difficult to put on top of the right candle. They're very awkward. So this is the 11th of July. Okay, the Chinese fractal showed that 11th of July high is possible. And then the 12th of July was lower, great. And then this orange fractal here, 12th of July is higher, so this orange fractal is not doing well either. So this is the Chinese cycle now. 12th of July lower, 13th of July higher, 14th of July higher. I know the candles here are not exactly fitting the trend line, but still 14th of July is shown as higher, and then 15th of July is showed higher here, and 16th of July is showed higher on the Chinese fractal. Meanwhile, I had to go and get another eclipse fractal. Where is it? I had another eclipse fractal. Ah yes, it's this pale yellow. So let's see what this other eclipse fractal is showing. I push them up so you can see them, so you can see the relationship between the days. That doesn't mean that I expect those prices. These fractals never predict prices. If they predict a price, that is by accident. Just a coincidence. They're not designed to predict prices. So this fractal is bottoming on 15th instead of the previous fractal that is bottoming on the 14th, the one that I removed already. Okay, so what do we see here now? That only the Chinese fractal at the moment is accurate. And we follow the Chinese fractal. Let me bring this down as well. We follow the Chinese fractal. Why am I not deleting these fractals? Because I explained in the previous video, don't mess with the eclipse fractals. Eclipse fractals are like paths in the woods. You know, you go for a walk in the woods and you think no one has been there before. And then suddenly you see a path, you see that for hundreds of years people have been walking there and they've been walking across the same path, and it's easier to walk there. So that is exactly what the eclipses are. As soon as an eclipse is done in the sky, they create an entrenched path there. That will always be meaningful. That path there will remain in the sky. I know we don't see it, but you can see here how accurate these fractals are. It's exactly like walking in the woods and you find a path, so it's much easier than having to cut across the grass and across there in the bush, across the bush. So don't ever mess with those and to say they disregarded, they invalidated completely. It's only temporary. For a few days they invalidate it and suddenly they come back and they start working again. But meanwhile, we need a fractal that is accurate for us. So this is it. 16th of July is given here. 15th or 16th is given here as a top for Bitcoin. Then a bit of a retracement until the 19th of July, and then heading up again to make a double top on 23rd of July, which you can see here is higher than what we're doing today and tomorrow and on the 16th. Higher, and then it goes down. So how low it will go down, let's have a look. Because today is the 14th, I have one more day to decide if I'm going to be maintaining the same bias for the end of July or not. So this is the 30th of July. I don't have the 31st of July here on this date, right? This is where it goes after that. And where is the 30th of June? 30th of June is here. So I will use this opportunity. I think it's fair that by mid-month I have the right to change bias. So tomorrow is my last day. I will wait until tomorrow to change bias. This is the 30th of June here, where it closed. So depends how high this will go and then how low it will fall. For now I'm keeping the same bias, guys, because that system has delivered very strong accuracy. You know, the system that forecasted a red closure for July has very strong accuracy. Last year 80%, this year is running at 100%. So that is why I'm kind of reluctant to change that bias for the monthly closure. So I'll wait for one more day. Okay, the other statement that I made, so I made two forecasts for July, which are totally different statements. A, the red closure of the month. B, it was that we will make a lower low than July. Now that is a quite serious statement as well. So than June, we'll make a lower low than June. So this is the 22nd of June here. It's quite low at 98. And again, I'm reluctant at the moment to change my bias about that, because look at the Ethereum. Look at the Ethereum fractal. Look what happens after that. Look where 31st of July is. Look, 31st of July is way below June. So for that reason, I'm not changing my bias for Ethereum. The fractal gives us very clear information here that Ethereum will produce a very low bottom in July. I'm not sure about these yet here for Ethereum, because in my system in the daily time frames, these are given us very high 21st of July. Let me have a look at it again here. Look at that, 20 and 21st of July are given us high, are given us, but the cycle is a lower high. The cycle says lower high. So that is why we have regular updates. You know, if it was so easy to figure it out from beginning to end, then I wouldn't be here providing updates every day. So for now, my bias remains red for Ethereum and for Bitcoin for the monthly closure. Okay, despite all the euphoria now. I mean, this is not the behavior of a sustainable rally, and I really don't understand how many foolish people there are on X to be celebrating this. This is, in my opinion, quite disturbing to see Bitcoin behaving in this way when Bitcoin should be building a completely different, more gradual kind of rally. And they're going to produce a top in July, and then they'll be dumping very hard. There is really no need for that drama. I actually really dislike this price action, and I'm not bullish in that sense, where a lot of people think, yeah, that's it, we're starting a rally now. And no, there will be punishment after these pumps. After pumps, there is always a big correction after that. We're not getting away from that before we start moving parabolically. And there was really no need for that drama and volatility. But this is the nature of the month of July. July always provides volatility. And yeah, that's how it goes. So the dates for Bitcoin are 5th of July, 16th of July, high, then 17th of July, 18th of July, 19th of July, lower, and then makes a bull reversal from there, and it goes up to 23rd of July. I need to spend some time checking what was the accuracy of this fractal before I know how much I can trust it. You can see the eclipse fractal, it had above 80% accuracy. It only became inaccurate on the 11th of July. Up until then it had only 2 candles wrong. So today I don't have time to do this in the video, but I'll do it before the next update to see how much I can trust it. For now, we know that the next 2 days are expected to be high, or at least one more day. We take it one day at a time. It's better. At least tomorrow one more day is expected to be higher, right? Okay. Now this is just a fractal. We need to confluence that. So let's come back to the data now, and we're gonna confluence it here. What happened yesterday? It was Saturn going retrograde on the 13th of July. So I've already done the back testing for that. And look the behavior, look at the historical behavior. As soon as Saturn goes retrograde, we get a pump. This has happened on every single year in Bitcoin's life. It's a very consistent pattern. Every single year when Saturn goes retrograde, we get a pump for a minimum of 1 day. In 2014, we got a pump only for 1 day. That was a bearish year. In the other years, the pump is longer. So let's see. So the next minimum is 2 days up. That is why we have to be very cautious. So today is the 14th. That is 1 day up. And 2 days up is the 15th of July, minimum. Then in 2020, we got 3 days up. This is perfectly realistic to expect 3 days up after the date. So 13 plus 3 is 16. It's perfectly fine to expect 3 days up because we are on a 2020 cycle. The subscribers know that we have a very strong 5-year cycle in Chinese astrology. And then 2021, we are also on that cycle as well. It was 4 days up and then down. And then the next years are not that strong cycle for us. Again, it was 3 days up in 2022. It was 6 days up in 2023. We are not on that cycle at all. It was 3 days up in 2024. In June 2024. Okay, so minimum 3 days up, and by then I will have done some other back testing, we will have some other research results, and we will navigate like this in order to attempt to nail the top. Do you remember that my previous video said top expected between the 10th and the 16th? A blow off top. So for now that forecast is accurate. For now this is exactly what it is doing. Let me just check another confluence. Let me just check the daily time frames of July. So you can see the 13th got invalidated really bad. In the 13th was a safe bet that it was gonna be a red day on the eclipse cycles, on the eclipse daily time frames. Look at that, 73% probability of red, 65%. The historical probability was very low, 66% closing on a red as well. There were tons of things for the 13th of July to make a retracement, but no, it didn't happen because we had that new event, the Saturn retrograde. Saturn retrograde kind of overrided all the rest of the cycles, and that is why the eclipse cycles became invalidated. Oh, I have forgotten here to take the daily time frames. I don't know why I have done that, but actually we got a flood. We got flooded on the 4th of July when Neptune went retrograde, and the kitchen got in such a mess That has been a very big disturbance in my life. And this past weekend we were doing the floor in the kitchen, and it just my mind was busy with other things. I really hate when that happens. So that's the reason why I have forgotten actually to do the daily time frames here. But the pumps come with a very high probability that week 1 will be closing on green from the day, counted from the day when Saturn goes retrograde. Quite a good percentage, 64%. And look at this pattern, pump and dump, every fucking day. So every fucking year, I mean. So let me come back here to the daily time frames of July, what is happening today. And the historical probability is closing on a red. Obviously that is not gonna happen, unlikely to happen. The eclipse cycles are green, the Chinese is green, and then the gun date, a very important gun date, is actually making a top today. So look at these gun dates. One of them is calling for a top today, the 14th of July. Another one is calling for a top on 16th of July, and another one is calling for a top on 18th of July. So the top will be here, because look at this conglomeration of several gun dates forecasting a top coming in these days. Could the top be today? Yes, it could be, but that has never been done before. We saw that only once Bitcoin has pumped only for one day after Saturn goes retrograde. We just saw that in the table. So it is unlikely that today will be the top. '16th of July is more likely, or 18th of July. Let's see what happens on daily time frames on the 14th of July as well. Yes, okay. So again, never in the history of Bitcoin we have had Lunar Day 19 to top. That's never been the case. The usual tops of Bitcoin are actually Lunar Day 24 is very often the top. Lunar Day 20 is very strong. That is the 15th of July. So today actually we are on a bad lunar day. You can imagine what's going to be like tomorrow on a much stronger lunar day. Mercury at aphelion today, and this is bad. It's bearish. It's supposed to be bearish, Mercury at aphelion. Oh, no, sorry, it's not, because it's very far from the sun. Mercury is happy when it's far from the sun. This is the furthest away from the sun, that's why I got it as green. And Mercury is very happy. Mercury doesn't like being near the sun. And today, Mercury is the furthest away from the sun. Probably that's the reason for the pumps today. But this one, Lunar Day 19, is very bearish. I mean, it will manifest as bearish in our own personal lives. But tomorrow is a fantastic day. The 15th of July is a great lunar day. And then the moon is making a 0-degree declination on the 16th of July, which is super bullish. That's on the 16th of July, Lunar Day 21. Oh, that is a bad lunar day. That will be interesting. Lunar Day 21 is normally a day that dumps. But this 0-degree declination here of the moon is quite bullish. So we'll see. So 16th of July has a mixture. Anyway, it's too far to be thinking about that. At the moment, we're playing one day at a time in order to nail. On weekly, we're already accurate. I said the top will be done in this coming week. So, but on daily, it's a bit tricky to nail the top. All I can say for today that I don't expect that the top will be today. That's all I can say. Today is stronger. Tomorrow is stronger, sorry. Tomorrow is stronger, the 15th. Oh, look at that. Something will be trining the sun. Ah, yes, that's the moon. Ho, ho. Moon trining the sun. It doesn't get more bullish than that. That is why I have got it in big capital letters. And for those of you who have the daily time frames, that's how I do it. If something is very, very bullish or very, very bearish, I make the letters really big. So tomorrow we expect much higher up. The 15th. And then 16th mixed, the picture is mixed here. 17th, 17 is strong, 17 is looking strong, 18th is looking strong as well. We have some very strong aspects here. 17 degree of Virgo is bullish. It's very bullish. So we're looking at to make the top at around 17, 18 for now. And then we'll see what happens then. If there is no well-shaped top, that means it may carry on even higher. But for now, this is well, the daily time frames are confluencing the fractals quite well, that around 17, 18 of July, we're expecting the top. Let me come back here to the fractals now. What did the fractal? Oh, the fractal is showing 16 as being the top. So we have to be very careful. This fractal is not my main fractal, and I haven't even assessed the historical accuracy for July. Let's see what, oh yes, look at that. Look at this eclipse fractal, what it's doing. The eclipse fractal is pointing 17 and 19 to be tops. It's only making a difference here, but as I said, the eclipse fractals can do that. They can deviate for a couple of days and then they become accurate again. So this eclipse fractal here is actually highlighting 17 and 19 of July to be tops. That is a very good confluence. And this was a #1 eclipse fractal that became invalidated on the 11th. It's slightly darker yellow color. We can look at it here. It doesn't have to be there. So this one is showing 17th of July to be top. And then heading down. Yes, so the top is coming very soon in the next few days. It's not today. It's not today on the 14th. So have a lovely day, everyone, and enjoy trading. Too soon to be entering short positions in my research. That is what my research is showing. Bye-bye.